Don't sign to the wrong record label. Around the same time as Mooski, if not literally the same time, Capitol Records signs Capella Grey. Capella Grey got the banger, Gyalis, right? City is my palace, but banger. Once again, another quarantine smash, right? If you was in the house during quarantine, you was ready to go outside because Gyalis was what you was going to dance to. Amazing sample on that. Essentially, what was even more interesting with this record, he puts that himself originally. Um, on streaming services, it's available, it's doing its thing. But then he signs to Capitol Records, and they basically remove, like they take away his YouTube, they take away all his content, and they re-release it on all their own socials and create new accounts for him. Right. So instead of it already showing that he has millions of views, he's starting from scratch. Doesn't really impact much because the numbers are still moving. I know this because I was following him early. He's from the Bronx. I'm in New York. Like, I was following him early and I knew this was about to blow. We did a story on him. I wasn't able to get the interview, but we did a story on him, really tracking his success and tracking his come up. I thought for sure Capella was going to be out of here because that was just an amazing hit. And knowing that he produced the track himself and he produced most of his music, produced and wrote most of his music, I knew it was going to be crazy. At the time, he's working with Tory Lanez, he's working with Puff, he's working with a bunch of dudes. He got songs with Busta Rhymes, he got songs with a bunch of people because he was just in the studio. And that sound, like, it was a very much what New York is going to sound like moving forward. You know, and at that time, we got 5 Year Foreign really making moves. Pop Smoke had just passed. So, like, New York was looking for something that was really going to bubble. He signs to Capitol Records. And again, just not the best label for hip hop and R&B. I can't speak to any other type of music that they have released. I don't know enough. But in my 20 years, I've seen so many artists go to Capitol Records and disappear. So they put out the debut album, almost crickets. And I know, you know, from my angle versus his angle, it might be two different angles. Maybe he's happy with the debut. Capella has fans, right? Like, he does a show in New York right now. It's a packed house, especially in New York. I don't know what it's like in other cities. Capella was able to do Summer Jam. He was able to do some things. And in the first video I talked about Mooski. Mooski can probably still do shows in Florida and Alabama and so on and so forth. But they never got to the point where they made it national. Fast forward, he ended up putting out a couple of more EPs, a follow-up project. His hits, like Baychester is another hit. And Baychester samples Gyalis, which both sample Juvenile, back that thing up, right? Nonetheless, I just wish he would have signed to anybody but Capitol Records. I can't even say for sure who would be a better bet for him. Once again, probably Universal. They just make sense. But maybe just an Empire. Capella probably should have just stayed independent. I believe he's independent now. You know, just because when you're independent, you could put out as many projects as you want, as many songs as you want, and not have any limits. Everybody was trying to get a feature from Capella, and I don't even know if he was able to do everything that he wanted to do just because he was tied down to this label.